Welcome back to Days fans. Today is a fantastic day to dive deep into the absolute madness heading for Salem. Grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's break down the explosive events coming our way over the next 2 weeks. Let us start with the absolute train wreck that is currently Alex and Stephanie's marriage. Over the week of April 13 to April 17, we are going to see Stephanie Kyriakis reach her absolute breaking point. She gets into a massive blowout argument with Alex and literally walks right out on him. And where does she go? Straight into the comforting arms of Jeremy Horton. Now, if we look at the psychology of what is happening here, this is a classic trauma bond. Stephanie and Jeremy were abducted together. They face the very real possibility of death side by side. When you go through a deeply traumatic ordeal, like a kidnapping, your brain literally rewires itself to seek out the only other person who truly understands that specific terror. Jeremy represents shared survival. Alex, on the other hand, is completely misinterpreting this. He spies on them hugging and immediately jumps to jealousy. Alex has always been driven by his deep-seated insecurities, dating all the way back to his Playboy days when he used superficial charm to mask his fear of abandonment. I actually think this is a huge mistake because Alex decides his next move is to try and pull off a nice surprise for Stephanie to win her back. Let me tell you, springing a sudden surprise on a woman who is currently suffering from severe PTSD after being held hostage is the worst possible idea. Startling her is going to trigger her fight or flight response, not her romantic feelings. Alex is trying to apply a band-aid to a bullet wound, completely failing to understand the psychological depth of his wife's current trauma. He's making it all about his need for validation rather than her need for safety and stability. And honestly, this is classic Alex behavior. He is so focused on grand gestures that he entirely misses the emotional nuance required to actually heal a fractured relationship. But here's the real kicker. Whatever marital issues Alex and Stephanie are facing right now are about to seem like a walk in the park. Starting on April 24, Alex Ann Hopkins is reprising her role as Joy Wesley. And she is making a massive comeback to Salem. For those who need a quick history lesson, Joy Wesley left town carrying a monumental secret. She was pregnant with Alex's baby. Days of Our Lives, spoilers, strongly indicate that she is returning with an infant in tow. This is going to be the nuclear bomb that completely obliterates Alex and Stephanie's fragile world. Just as Stephanie is pulling away and finding solace with Jeremy, Alex is going to be hit with the reality of sudden fatherhood from a past relationship. This ties perfectly into the long-running theme of Alex's reckless past, constantly coming back to haunt his attempts at a stable future. The timing could not be worse, which means it is absolutely perfect for daytime television drama. Speaking of massive returns, the DiMera family is about to get thrown into absolute chaos. The week of April 20 to April 24 brings the highly anticipated return of Chad DiMera, with Connor Floyd making his debut as the recast on the April 21 episode. Historically, Chad has always been positioned as the moral compass of the DiMera family, a sharp contrast to his ruthless brother EJ. Reintegrating Chad into the canvas is going to shift the entire power dynamic in Salem. We are told he is going to have a very awkward reunion with Cat Green, which makes total sense given the complicated web of allegiances in town right now. However, and he is also preparing for a date he promised Belle Black during a recent phone call. Pairing Chad and Belle is a fascinating dynamic. Both of them have historically tried to distance themselves from the darker, more criminal elements of their respective families. Yet, they constantly get pulled back in. AJ DiMera, meanwhile, is going to welcome his brother home with open arms, completely oblivious to the fact that his own empire is crumbling beneath him. EJ is currently riding high on his usual arrogant hubris, declaring that family is his top priority, while simultaneously preparing to move ahead with the reading of Stefano de Mera's will. EJ's arrogance is his fatal flaw. He is so focused on securing his legacy and controlling the de Mera enterprise that he doesn't even realize his sister Kristen is actively plotting his downfall. Kristen is strategizing with Sophia Choi, and their devious plan involves using EJ's own son, Johnny de Mera, as a pawn to take him down. Kristen is ruthless, and her willingness to use her own nephew to destroy her brother shows just how far she will go for power. While EJ is focused on Stefano's will, there is a massive storm brewing that is going to crash that event. Theo Carver is currently carrying the heaviest burden in Salem. During a therapy session with Marlena Evans, Theo finally cracks under the pressure and spills the ultimate secret. His mother, Lexi Carver, is alive. También real. This is arguably one of the biggest storyline twists we have seen in the last decade. Lexi has been presumed dead for years, following that tragic brain tumor and tunnel collapse storyline. Theo, who has always been portrayed as a pure-hearted, incredibly honest character, is being crushed by the weight of lying to his father. Aber Marlena, bound by doctor-patient confidentiality, will have to keep this quiet. But secrets this big never stay buried. The spoilers tease that there will inevitably be shockers at Stefano's will, reading, we already had that cruel fake out where Theo dreamed Lexi woke up, but the reality is she is awakening for real. I am fully predicting that Lexi Carver is going to walk right through the doors of the de Mera mansion, right in the middle of that will, reading, shocking EJ, Sheb, and the rest of Salem to their absolute core across town. We have to talk about the spectacular public humiliation heading for Bonnie Kyriakis. Judy Evans is a comedic genius, but Bonnie is a menace who is finally getting her karma. Her highly anticipated book signing is going to be a total disaster. Why? Because Bonnie shamelessly stole most of her ideas from Stephanie's novel. When this special event goes horribly wrong, her intellectual theft is going to be exposed for all to see. This traces back to Bonnie's long history of grifting and stealing. Let's not forget, she literally stole Adrian's life years ago. Bonnie is driven by a desperate need for the spotlight and validation, but her shortcuts always lead to public embarrassment. Seeing her scramble to salvage her reputation while being exposed as a fraud is going to be incredibly satisfying to watch. Meanwhile, the younger generation of Salem is proving they are just as prone to bad decisions as their parents. Ariana Horton is coming face to face with Liam Salejko. And despite his best efforts to pull away and warn her that he is bad news, Ari is not easily scared off. Ari is truly her mother's daughter. She has inherited Gabby Hernandez's fierce stubbornness and her dangerous attraction to bad boys. Liam has a hidden criminal record and a young son, but Ari is completely ignoring these massive red flags. She is aggressively demanding the truth, placing Liam in a corner. Liam is actually trying to do the right thing by pushing her away. But Ari's relentless pursuit is going to drag them both into a very complicated, very messy situation. Speaking of Gabby, she is going to be joining Philip Kyriakis for a trivia night at the pub alongside Theo Carver and Jada Hunter. This is a fascinating mix of characters. Theo is currently drowning in the secret of his mother's survival, but his mind is also heavily distracted by a massive crush on Gabby. Theo would much rather be dating Gabi than just playing trivia, and he is finding himself drawn to her despite her relationship status with Philip. This is a dangerous game for Theo. Gabby is a seasoned survivor with a history of toxic, intense relationships, and Theo's pure heart might get caught in the crossfire of her complicated life. Finally, we have to touch on the heartbreaking situation between Leo Stark and Javi Hernandez. Leo is usually Salem's resident snarky manipulator, always armed with a witty comeback and a devious scheme